introducing the story of Trojan warriors. Part 1, The Vision. I'm Michael Clark, the director.
And brother of David Clark. David, tell us a little about yourself.
Well, I am David Clark, I just told you, I'm your brother. And you're my older brother, but I became a Christian 30 years ago. And we are here, and this documentary that we're about to do is the beginning of a series.
A series of what?
Trojan Warriors, we call it.
So this book is the first in a series.
The book is the first in a series, but the documentary we're doing now is about what it's all about, really, what Trojan Warriors are about.
Okay, it was last year that you came to the Philippines for the first time.
Yeah.
What made you come to the Philippines?
Well, it was the fact that you had become a Christian after many years.
It was the recognition
Yes.
that after your praying
Yes.
for 30 years, that you found out that your prayers have been answered.
Well, I'm not saying I prayed for you for 30 years. Obviously I prayed for you, but the reality of it is, I was converted 30 years ago. Christ actually spoke to me, no doubt about it, and set me on a mission.
Well, I seem to remember, David, that after trying to explain about how I was set up for a crime I didn't commit, and you in the Western world felt that there's no smoke without fire, so you rejected me. You think I was bluffing or spoofing.
Well, no, I didn't reject you. I felt you actually deserved getting sent away for what you were doing. But the fact is, I learned that I didn't believe you was given the charge, but I thought you deserved what you got because I felt your lifestyle was immoral.
Okay, it was what led you to me was the release of Sonny Wilson, who got acquitted off death penalty.
Yeah.
He was suffering.
Yeah.
Now this is a man.
That's it.
This is
That's
a
the
man,
story.
Sonny Wilson.
Yeah.
Now he's my dear friend here.
Yeah.
He came to you with a message.
Yeah.
I asked him personally to go to you
Yeah.
with an MBI report, which is in this
That's
book,
right, yeah.
that categorically says that I was not guilty. This proves that with a judicial system, my case would have been thrown out of court. However, we're not here to say anything about the judicial system.
I'll tell you what happened. Right? He
Yes.
came to me, he actually ran me up on Christmas Day.
On Christmas Day?
1999. Yeah. He actually had come out of the prison on the 23rd,
Oh, I remember.
flew back to England and ran me up on Christmas Day.
Yes.
He said he got me a Christmas present.
A present.
Yeah. The news that you, the confirmation and evidence that you were innocent of the charge. That was the MBI report he got.
And it was then you. How did he get you? Did he bring
He
it
came to me, him and his wife came.
So he came down from Dover in
He
Kent.
stayed with me for several
So
days.
it's a 2-hour drive. He came all the
Yeah,
way down
yeah.
on Christmas to give you this good news.
Yeah, just after Christmas he came.
How did you feel when you read the
Honoured.
MBI
I was
report?
honoured to receive him because I knew that he was
No,
acquitted
you missed
guilty.
the question. How did you respond to reading the MBI report? That-
Well, the truth of the matter was, Michael, it's such a long report, I couldn't understand it. Right? And I didn't respond until 6 months later, when I finally realised what it was telling
so after
me.
you digested it.
Yes, it took me time.
Yeah, so it's another world. You couldn't-
Yeah, I couldn't
So,
comprehend.
okay, let's cut a long story short. After 6 months, you began to get inspired
Yes, I was
to come
inspired,
to the
yeah.
Philippines to see
Well,
the reality.
Let me tell you what happened, right? You had written to me that you were interested in Christian things, and I actually just put it on the back burner. I wanted to see the evidence. You wrote to me telling me how depressed you were, you didn't like, can't face a future, and all this and that, right? And I thought, well, God is actually going to deal with you.
Yes.
Now, a year later, you write to me and told me that you actually read Mark and Lloyd Jones' books on spiritual warfare, on joy unspeakable, full of glory, and you had read
And C.S.
C.S.
Lewis.
Lewis's book called Mere Christianity.
And that was the book that Sonny Wilson left with.
Yes, yeah. Now, when I saw the change in your letters, I knew that you had become a Christian. So I wrote back immediately and told you, instructed you to get baptised. I actually rang up the newspaper, Miller,
Oh, didn't you-
Lizzie Miller.
Okay, can I tell you something?
Yeah.
When your letter was in transit to me, my letter was in transit to you,
Right.
saying
Across.
I've already
Yeah. Formulated the
baptism because I was inspired. I was dragged to the water tank.
Yeah.
Pastor Lucas tried to say that, well, we can do it next. It wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
It had to be done.
Yeah.
I had to tell the Lord I was an ambassador.
That's right, yeah.
And I got 25 other people.
Yeah.
And we asked him, Pastor Lucas, to improvise.
Yeah.
And it was a wonderful celebration.
So that's actually the baptism there.
Yes.
In the oil drum.
Yeah.
Now, why was it in the oil drum, you tell me?
Because at the time,
45 gallons.
the actual baptism, what do you call it, where you get baptised?
Dip, immersed.
No,
Dip.
no, the actual place,
Trough, a baptismal pool.
a pool.
A river will do. Anything.
This church, or Bible Centre, always borrows one over the other side of the wall.
Right, yeah.
Now, this is a large compound, 12 hectares, divided into 2 sections. Now, at the time, there was gang warfare, so it was always put off. We can't do it, we can't do it. What do you mean you can't do it?
Just do it.
I remembered scripture.
I told you.
The man, the Enoch, I forget, in
Yeah.
the Bible.
What hinders me from being
What's
baptised?
stopping me? And he
Yeah.
jumped in, and I think that water was stagnant and dirty. It didn't matter to me.
That's like the waters of Jordan.
Right.
Yeah.
If it doesn't matter. It can be a sewage tank I
Yeah,
would
it doesn't
jump
matter,
in.
yeah, it doesn't matter.
It was just a symbolic. More than a symbolic, I had to tell the Lord, I'm a follower.
So as a result of that, I told Lizzie Miller, I published my book.
Lizzie Miller, I remember she's one of the editors from the Southampton newspaper.
I had, meanwhile, been writing this book, right? And I didn't have the ending. In fact, the book was initially, the title, I thought, Jacob have I loved, Esau have I hated.
It's like the book of Acts. It ended on chapter 28.
Yeah.
And I believe 29.
It was opened again.
We're the ones opening it.
We're 29, Acts 29. Living
okay.
Testament, right?
Okay, so you came to the Philippines and you decided to come with your dear friend, or shall we say
Gordon.
our friend,
Yeah, Gordon.
Gordon Smith.
Who assisted me.
I've known him for 40 years, and when I used to know him, he was an old man, in my eyes.
It wasn't really.
In my eyes, he was an old man. But when he came, and he was always a Christian, he was preaching, and he had his own funny way, but I wasn't a Christian, but he was a good engineer.
He
in practice.
in fact was praying for me the night of my conversion at Mrs. Knight's home.
Ah. Okay. Anyway, when Gordon Smith, when I was informed by you that Gordon would like to accompany you to the Philippines, wonderful, wonderful.
In fact,
But when I saw him, I didn't believe it was Gordon.
No.
Where's my brother?
There he is.
There's my brother. There's Gordon! My goodness!
Excuse. Muna kayo sa labas. Sa labas muna, sa labas.
Right, take a picture of Gordon, carry on.
My long lost brother.
Yung namamahala doon sa recreation.
And now my true brother. He looked a lot younger.
Yeah.
And he was jolly.
Yeah.
And he was,
Because he's a pastor, a mission
and then he
worker,
told me
teacher.
all about his wife, and he's found a lovely wife, and his house clean, which I can't believe. Anyway, we had a lovely mission last year. We had a few problems, teething problems, but while you was here, David, I think we decided, and well, you saw there was a problem. The problem was that Pastor Lucas, you felt that you needed.
Well, no, not quite right. No, what happened was Pastor Lucas invited me, and Pastor Kim, Reverend Kim from Korea,
Yeah.
right, was a missionary here, had in fact invited me to preach in various places. Angeles City Jail, along the City Jail, cities of Kabit, in Curzon City. We went around churches preaching and teaching the gospel.
Okay.
Right, now, the fact is, when we came to this prison, right, Gordon and I were overwhelmed with the amount of Christian work that was going on. That there were hardened, notorious criminals being converted to Christ.
Yeah.
I've never seen it before, like it anywhere
And when,
where I've been.
and when you found out that
Pastor Lucas,
Reverend Lucas P. Dangatan Jr. was an ex-prisoner
yeah,
here in
1995,
95, and he, with no money,
yeah,
decided to found a
to set
theological
up this,
centre
yeah, this place here, yeah,
on the doctrines of Christ,
great, yeah,
not of man.
of Christ, yeah,
That
Yeah.
which inspired me.
yeah.
I'll tell you something, David. For 3 years, I devoured every book in this prison, paperback. When I come to finding no more books, I asked Pastor Lucas if I could
Library.
digest his library.
Yeah.
He said, Michael, this library is yours.
Yeah.
And I digested it. And I couldn't follow their teachers because it was all Taglish, that's 50-50.
Yeah.
So I used to have time with Pastor Andy and Pastor Lucas. Pastor Andy is
He's one of our
is
head
associate.
teachers. He's a head teacher, isn't he?
He's a head teacher and associate pastor. He's been here for 20 years. So I did my own study. And then I realised that the teachings were 99% sound. I'm saying 99% because I disagree on
Some issues, yeah.
the book. Unfortunately, the Filipinos, bless their heart, they read English, They understand it, but sometimes they cannot comprehend. Most of the books that have been written are in English. I'm fortunate I've been blessed with an education. I can read it. So when I've been expounding these books, I was open. Then I realised that the true doctrines are the true.
Can we talk about that in a minute, Michael? You preach it.
You certainly can.
Yeah, let's get back to the mission we're talking about. Right? Look, when we came here, okay, I saw this great work, and I think I was moved at the same time as you, and I said to you, Michael, I want to invite these men to write their testimonies in a book. And you announced and requested and commissioned them, you asked them. At the same time as he came to me, you spoke the word. So what did you tell them? You asked.
Well, actually I said, we've had a meeting.
We preached to hundreds here.
And I said,
we went to church compound, churches here, and there were hundreds of criminals.
What happened was, we had a little meeting, as we always do, morning or afternoon, and we said, we're going to write a book. In other words, it's a follow-on for Conversion on David's. This is going to be a joint effort between myself and David. David is the author, because I realise that if I'm connected by being a prison, it won't carry so much weight. However, I announced, I was giving some words of encouragement, and I announced that we have decided to write the first of a series of books. And David came up with the name Trojan Horse, Trojan Horse, but Trojan Warriors. So then, in order to have impact, Gordon Smith expounded on Revelations 11:12, I believe it is, by the you quote the scripture, David.
Well, it says that they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto the death.
Right. So what I thought was, if we can get 100 testimonies of warriors declaring Jesus is the Christ and their testimony, that will be the key to setting the prisoners.
And this too, I believe we've been sent to you.
At ito rin isasabihin namin sa inyo,
to encourage you too,
para palakasin kayo,
to put your testimonies in writing,
na ilagay ninyo yung mga patutuo sa pagsulat.
Comply with Michael's suggested request.
Sumaayon kayo at sumunod kayo sa mga panukalang ibibigay ni Michael.
And in the new book, God willing,
at kung loloobin ng Diyos, nagawa tayo ng panibagong libro.
We have 100 testimonies,
na naglalaman ang mga patutuo mismo ninyo,
which will go out to the world and bear the witness to what Jesus has done for you.
At ito ay mababasa ng buong mundo, pakinggan lang kung ginawa ni Kristo sa inyong buhay.
So we encourage you to this.
The key to setting the prisoners free. Now people here misunderstand. They think it's prison. The whole world is in prison.
Absolutely.
It's in bondage. But this picture was inspired to me one night. I drafted it up and I went to Kulai. Kulai is the cultural artist centre in the Philippines, in the New Philippine prison. Immediately I was directed to one man who knew exactly what I wanted. Within 1 month, this picture behind me, which is a large version of this, came up exactly. I sent it to David, he was jumping for joy. All he could say was thank you.
Let me tell